one minus that one plus that one. But now think about the other order of differentiation. D by dq of df by dt. If you just spend 1 second doing the same thing, you'll find out it's exactly the same thing. I'm not going to work it out. It's the difference. It's the horizontal difference and the vertical differences. You know what I mean? It's exactly the same expression. So it doesn't matter when evaluating this combination here, it doesn't matter whether you think of it as differences going this way or differences going this way. You know what I mean? This takes too many words to expression. This is an example here. The second derivative with respect to p and q of h is the same as the second derivative with respect to q and p of h. So what's the net upshot? This is 0. This is Liouville's theorem, that the compression flow is without any compression or decompression. That the divergence of the flow vector is 0. And it's a consequence of Hamilton's equations. What it says is in this phase space, this two-dimensional phase space, as you watch the fluid flow, there's no build-up anywhere. There's no tendency for the fluid to compress, to rarefy, or to get more dense. Now what about any number of Q's and P's? No difference. You just put an I in here. I. Same deal. Exactly. It's just a multiple version of exactly the same thing with any number of dimensions. In each pair of directions, each Q and P, the flow along one axis is compensated by the flow along the other axis. The way to say it then is that if you take a piece of this fluid in phase space, a collection of points, either the ways to say it, as I said, follow it, the volume of it in the phase space doesn't change, or stay at one point, as much comes in as goes out. That ensures, incidentally, that points in the phase space cannot come together and coalesce and lose memory of which point was which. They maintain their integrity. They don't stay the same distance apart, but each one occupies a little volume which is sort of sacred, and the other ones can't penetrate it and lose their individuality, so to speak. Yep, absolutely. They cancel in pairs, which is a special version of incompressibility. It means in pairs of directions, the compression in one direction and the decompression in the other have to cancel. So it's a special kind of incompressibility, but it is incompressibility. It's a stronger kind of incompressibility. It's stronger than incompressibility, but it's not weaker than incompressibility. And so and as I said, it is the closest thing that we have for the continuous world to this idea that there's no convergence of the trajectories in the discrete world, no loss of information. So, especially as you're looking for divergence, that's the way divergence is working forward. It is. That goes to this result carry over to other transports. No, phase space is always thought of as continuum. Phase space is the one that's continuum. Right? In this sense, or it's sort of called symplectic. It's not really Cartesian. But it's Cartesian cosmology. And with this, I'm not trying to confuse things, but with this whole sort of like inertia that's been in the universe with the coordinate system, yes, that's a good question. And the answer is yes. But even more simple, let's talk about picking a box of gas and expand. Oh, incidentally, this theorem does not really depend on the Hamiltonian not having any time dependence. The time dependence, it wouldn't matter. It's still true. Leo's theorem. But okay, so we take a box of gas, and we expand the box of gas. It's almost like the universe expanding. What happens? Well, the real fluid, the ordinary sense of fluid, the positions of the molecules in real space, they're obviously spreading out from each other, right? So, the fluid in ordinary space is not incompressible. It's being rarefied in this case. What that means is that in the p space, the momentum space, the points must be getting closer together. The points must be getting closer together in momentum space. That's true. That's a correct statement. That if the fluid is expanding in ordinary q space, it means it's contracting in the p space. The momenta are getting closer to each other. Now, let's think about that for a moment. What does happen to the momentum of particles in a gas if you expand the gas? It goes down, right? They get closer to zero. And they all get closer to zero, so the gas is getting compressed in the p direction while it's getting expanded in the x direction. If you squeeze the gas, exactly the opposite happens. So yes, it is an important aspect of expanding universe. The same thing happens.
So what if it's a sudden expansion, so the particles...
Still, doesn't matter how fast they expand. There's no assumption in it that the parameters are not changing suddenly with time. I know what the entropy, but phase volume is concerned.
Is a 5-particle system have 5 points in 2-dimensional phase space or 10-dimensional phase space? If you have 5 particles.
2-dimensional phase space.
So those points there wouldn't represent individual particles, they represent individual states.
Yes, they represent individual states. That's right. They could, of course, represent, they don't represent individual particles. They represent states. That's correct. Well, right. The points represent states, and then we imagine fictitious particles. Fictitious particles in this higher dimensional space.
So, a question I think is related to what you're talking about. It seems pretty easy to see how the theorem follows from Hamilton's equations for the phase space and velocity field.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of fuzzy on what this fluid is. What are all these, like, what's the initial density? Well, all these points are different states of the system.
Yeah.
I don't think about the fluid, it all seems straightforward.
You don't have to think about the fluid. You don't have to think about the fluid. Forget the fluid if you like. The fluid is just to visualize. And physicists always draw the fluid because it's a useful trick to visualize. But here's the statement. Take a patch, a region of the phase space. Every point in this phase space goes somewhere after a certain period of time. Are you with that? Okay. That means this patch will move. Okay? It moves in a way which preserves the volume in phase space. The volume in phase space means the product of P and Q, the integral over P and Q of, or just the ordinary volume in the PQ space. Just normal concept of volume. Normal concept of volume, but not spatial volume, but volume in QP space. Now, it's an interesting question. Supposing you change coordinates in some very complicated way, that will also entail a change of the definition of the momenta. Well, if you reparameterize everything by some totally different
before I realized that, my goodness, somebody rolled over. and my manager asking me why I didn't make it last night. I told him I just chickened out, and I am glad I did. Last night I decided not to drive after dark because of what you see, not of the snow on the ground, the fog. The ice in the fog make it impossible to see. Once I removed the cruise control, my goodness, in the fog, all these trucks were sitting there. And one rollover after the other. Behind me there is one. In front of me, I have no idea how many there are. That is Idaho I-84.